it's getting to that time of year again, and I think you know what I mean. Results day was just over a month ago now, and for a lot of you, you're probably going off to uni, you're probably there by now trying to settle in, or you're at college, or you've got a job, but whatever it is, you're probably entering the scary adult world. And so I've come up with a list of 10 books that I think, personally, will help you guys settle in much better to the adult world. Definitely read 1984 by George Orwell. A lot of the themes in it are probably something that you will come across in modern days. I mean, there's the whole lower class against the upper class and who really should be superior. And then there's the whole fact with being controlled and, you know, like the idea of Big Brother and the idea of when people say, oh, we're being watched constantly by like CCTV cameras. Ideas like that come from this book, so it's always good to read it, isn't it? And I'll just give you a little bit from the back. It says, Winston Smith works for the Ministry of Truth in London, chief city of Airstrip 1. Big Brother stares out from every poster. The thought police uncover every act of betrayal. When Winston finds love with Julia, he discovers that life does not have to be dull and deadening, and awakens to new possibilities. Despite the police helicopters that hover and circle overhead, Winston and Julia begin to question the party. They are drawn towards conspiracy. Yet, Big Brother will not tolerate dissent, even in the mind. For those with original thoughts, they have entered Room 101. At number 9, I would say to read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Now this is one of my personal favourites, just because of the whole themes in it. Basically show you that just because someone looks a bit different, acts a bit different, you really shouldn't judge them, because a lot of the time they'll just kind of go a bit crazy and out of control. And I would kind of also recommend it because it kind of annoys me sometimes when I hear people. It happens a lot in movies the majority of the time. I have noticed it happened on Phineas and Ferb in their like little title screens. I'm such a child, really. But I'm so pedantic as well. They would just like, they would say stuff like, oh yeah, he's as ugly looking or as terrifying as Frankenstein. Frankenstein's actually Victor Frankenstein, who created the monster that everyone thinks is actually Frankenstein. Not in the story, but just in kind of day-to-day life. The actual person that everyone thinks is scary and terrifying and ugly looking is in fact Frankenstein's monster, the sort of possession of Victor. I would say to go and read The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Mainly because a lot of the things in it are like money, greed, love. You kind of get that all the time here. And this book does come up a lot in conversations, especially with like mature adults. I know my dad kind of talks to me a lot about like the kind of oldie books, classic books I should say. Is that with a lot of books nowadays that you get like I think with kind of some of the old books as well, you get like Chapter 14, Revenge, or Dawn of the Tide, or something like that. But with this book, you actually get, let me just try and find it. You get, sour in this contents. I don't know if you can, there you go. It's kind of like journals, oh god, and like newspaper articles. And I really like that, because you get like different interpretations. You don't just get one full story with just one narration. You get like different people's ideas of it. At number 6, I would say to read The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. Mainly because if you're doing like an English literature degree or you're just fascinated in literature, at the back it says the earliest and most influential of the Gothic novels. So if you have a section in your degree that's about Gothic novels and you haven't read this book yet, you most probably should. At number 5 would be The Scarlet Letter. Now if any of you have watched the movie Easy A, you will know this book, really. Probably not have read it. I mean, I watched the movie and I was just interested in reading it after watching the movie, really. And that doesn't happen a lot, that a modern movie kind of links to an old kind of novel and then you get interested in reading it. But I did. And I'm glad I did, because it is quite a good story. Say to read the book feed. Yay! I read this and I thought, well, I kind of sort of read the title and I thought, oh yeah, it's going to be about, I don't know, like a poor young child that learns to read and steals books because she can't afford them. And it is about that. But it's also mixed in with Nazi Germany. And also, a thing that I absolutely love for this book that you don't really see that much is the fact that, I'll show you the back, the novel is narrated by Death. 3 is Never Let Me Go. This is a book about clones, but instead of it being like a sci-fi book about clones, it shows you the emotions that the clones have to go through. And it also shows you what it's like to have your whole life set out for you and you not to do anything about it and not really wanting to do anything about it because you don't know any different really. Boys Don't Cry. Actually, it says at the back, and this is why I think it's a good book for if you're becoming an adult, because it has a really, really adult issue in it. It goes, so what am I supposed to do? You take a deep breath, you grow up, and you man up. You have a daughter now. You've got it all planned out, a summer of freedom, university, a career as a journalist. Your future looks bright. But then the doorbell rings. It's your ex-girlfriend, and she's carrying a baby. Your baby. You agree to look after it, just for an hour or two. Then she doesn't come back, and your life changes forever. I would say to read Looking for Alaska by John Green. If you are going to read this, be warned, have tissues on hand because it is really a very, very sad book. It's a good book though. And then on the back it goes, Alaska Young. Gorgeous, clever, funny, sexy, screwed up, and utterly fascinating. Miles Holter could not be more in love with her, but when tragedy strikes, Miles discovers the value and the pain of living and loving unconditionally. Nothing will ever be the same. So that was my top 10 list of books to read before or during your time in the adult world. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any other books that you think should in fact be on this list, or if you think any of the books that I've said just makes no sense that they're on there, just leave me a comment and talk to me about it. If you guys have any books that you think should be on there, let me know, and if I haven't read it, I'll read it and I might put it on there. And now I'm going to go have a cup of tea because I feel a bit poorly.